Hey all, welcome to Homestead. So it's been a bit since we posted our last video. If I'm to believe YouTube, it's been at least 2 months, maybe a little longer than 2 months since we posted our last video, which was the last update here on the barn. But in truth, that the footage for that was probably taken at least, well, let's say a month or so before actually getting that posted, if not longer. So it's been a while. We haven't been idle. If you're following our Facebook page, you know that we've still got things going on. I'll probably do a separate video doing kind of a bring you up to date on everything we got going on. Okay, a little bit of a fake out. We're gonna go ahead and do the update video right now. You're not really gonna know the difference because you're just clicking on a video and you're watching it. But I went ahead and got the barn down, the old shelter down, so it's now clear for the most part. Got all the T-posts up, all the pallets that were used are stacked over there, which most of them are actually still in good-ish condition. I was kind of thinking they'd all be trash, but there's still some use I can get out of those, I think. But I figured getting towards the end of my day, I don't think I'm going to really get started with the rafters. So why don't I take you on a little walk and give you our update on a lot of things we've been up to since we got that last video going. And we're going to try and get back on the video making horse. Try to get that sun out of you. Try to get back on the regular videos, but the best way to follow us and see what we're up to on a regular basis is on our Facebook page. That's if you're into the journey. And again, I'm going to try to make these videos more maybe infrastructure based would be the best way to say it, process based, project ways we're doing things rather than the individual things that we're doing. That makes sense. Hope it does. So let's walk on over here. So first thing I'll show you is, been using the Mini X there. It's my uncle-in-law has been letting us use that. He got it for drainage projects at his house, and he doesn't really need it all the time, so he lets it live here, and I get to utilize it, which is a huge blessing. So the first thing we've got here is we've got a hydrant installed, a frost-free hydrant. I went ahead and we need a better drain, gray water drain solution over there where the crawl space is. I think I've shown you this before in other videos or it's come up, but basically we have a gray water drain that comes right out there, and that's where our kitchen and our washing machine, everything. I'd done a kind of a dry well drain for it, thinking that would be adequate. Well, that got overcome and filled in and ponded really kind of quick. So we trenched that out. I've got perforated pipe, a nice French drain, so it's like a drain field for almost like a septic drain running all the way. The perforated pipe comes all the way down this way with some good drain rock in there. I went ahead and spent a little extra money on the first 10 feet with the styrofoam packing around it, so it's gonna keep the silt and sediment out. in the drain, what I did, it's kind of, don't want to pull it all apart for you to see, but I want to try to explain it the best I can. So I've got everything going into this little drain that I got. It's just a little drain box for regular ABS irrigation and guard drain things. But what I've got is I went to the faucet plumbing area of Lowe's, and they have a strainer basically that I was able, that fits, it's big enough to fit right over that 4-inch outlet. So I've got that as a strainer, so food particulates, laundry, lint, whatever will get caught by that. So eventually that's going to plug up and start to overflow by design. That lets me know, oh, I got to lift that grate up, clean off that strainer, put it back, and everything should go. But those should be pretty far and few between. Other than that, it's just a regular catch basin. It's got the holes drilled in the bottom with some gravel underneath, so it can drain that way. But the big flow when it comes, especially with laundry and stuff, goes right on out. since I had the trench dug, I went ahead and attached a poly line, got the water, and it's going out to my frost tree. So now we've got some meaningful freeze protection for our water source out here, at least at the hydrant, which means that we don't necessarily need to worry too much, because everything under there is buried and insulated. We've never really had an issue with that bursting or threatening to burst. The one time that it did, it was the pipe going up to the outlet bib for the exterior water froze enough to go back in there and busted an elbow. The main line that was in the floor and covered and buried, that's never been a problem. So hopefully we'll have water even in wintertime and freezing temps. So this is the pool, finally getting it back on. We've been fighting algae, and that's partly my fault. I didn't clean it properly, decommission it and winter it over. So just finally getting that back online. I know it's a little late for the pool, but my daughters will swim probably into October if the weather's allowing for it. We've got the in-ground raised bed, garden beds going crazy with tomatoes, peppers, beans, mint. I think we've got loofah going. We've got pickling cukes. Not loofah, alfalfa. Loofah, yeah. I think we've got the asparagus that's still bolting, and we'll be harvesting on that soon. So we've got lots going on over there. Harvested most of my potatoes already. I've got still 2 rows here that are in that have not been dug up yet. I'm gonna dig those up. I've got the rest of them curing. Figured out a good way to cure those in our situation. We've got our RV. And so I was able to take the mattresses off the bunk beds and the master bed and spread all those out in there. We can keep it dark. We can keep the AC running and to keep the humidity down. And so hopefully we're getting a good cure on those potatoes. Be checking those out soon. Not much has happened over here, except I don't know if you guys knew that we added ducks. The wife really wanted ducks, so I got her some ducks. That's their little shelter over there. I think I did a video on the build for that. And that's their little area there. They've got a little pond that we refill, give them some water to swim in, but they like to be out during the day wandering around. Not much has changed in here. I've been working on doing that in-ground garden. We'll go over there. Hold on a second before we get over there. Working on the compost. The compost has actually been working good. We let it kind of get away from us. The chickens really had it scratched out and spread out, but it is working. We've gotten some usable compost out of it. We've been adding some more greens. I've recently weed whacked in here and put all the greens in there, trying to add as much organic material as we can to it. I'll update you more when the cow shelter got taken down. There's a whole big bed of good composted material. I'll probably just add to this to help it continue and be a resource we can draw from. Anyway, let's go over here. This area here, I think I may have done some videos or talked about doing this area. I used the Mini X and we put in a good French drain along here. You can see the inlet there. There's a poppet outlet down there, going along there. There's a poppet outlet because all the water goes down this direction. So I wanted to have a good drain diversion to keep any soil in here from washing away. Now, before you think, oh, look, he's got something really growing. Those are all weeds. Haven't gotten enough time, energy to get this planted. Originally, I was going to try and do corn in here. I think we're definitely too late in the year for corn. I've also been fighting shading issues. This area just gets a little too shaded, too long during the day. I've cut a lot of branches back, definitely opened it up more, but I still think it's probably too shaded for corn. So it's getting late in the year, but I think we can still, if I can get in here this week, get this dug back up, we might be able, we have some old pumpkin seeds. We might be able to try to get some pumpkins in the ground. It'll be a total experiment. We'll see what happens with it. If nothing else, it'll just add some nutrients back into the bionorm. But what I really want to try with this space going into the fall, I want to try some red wheat, winter wheat. I really use this as an experimental patch. I want to see how well I can grow it, how well it does, what kind of yield I get back on it. And if we want to do that, because if we do, then I've got plans for it over here, which we'll go over and take a look at. Okay, as we're going over there, you can see, if you've ever paid attention here, I've taken down the fencing. I've still got the corners there and the gate, obviously, but I've taken down the fencing that used to be this enclosed area. Did it for two reasons. One was because I needed the mesh over for the piglets for their first area, because if you followed it on Facebook at all, I massively I underestimated their size and the ability of the electric tape to keep piglets away from the cattle panels, which were not small enough to prevent them from escaping. So that was a whole ordeal. Anyway, I borrowed all the mesh fencing from this area to utilize over there, and I went ahead and pulled up the T-post because I'm not sure if I'm going to redo this area exactly as it was, because my big news, we finally got rotational grazing happening, which is such a win for us. I mean, what is this, our 4th year, going into our 5th year of doing this, and we're finally getting our rotational grazing happening, which is fantastic. And I got to give thanks to Joel Salatin for that, because he was at a homestead conference here in Arkansas, and he is such an accessible man, waiting in line, very gracious, take your picture, talk to you. And I went up to him and I showed him an aerial of our property. I said, this is what I got going on. This is what I want to do. I'm stuck on getting started. He didn't waste any time. He whipped out his notepad, a Sharpie, drew up my property line, said, here's what you got going on. Here's what you're going to do. And so sometimes you need someone to help unstick your mind. You just get stuck. You know what you want to do, and you even know how to do it. What you don't know is how to start it, how to set it up. And that's what is so great about the homestead community, is that people are always willing to listen to what you got going on, offer ideas, and no one's trying to make you do their plan. They're trying to help you do your plan. And it's such a blessing. So this is what we've got going on. Got our property divided up roughly into 8 paddocks, give or take. This, what used to be this fence line that ran all the way along, met up with that H-brace, and then to turn there. But going across, you can kind of see where I've got it mowed between the mowed grass and the taller stuff. That's gonna be the new demarcation for pasture, for grazing area. And that marks kind of where the first paddock is. Now, the rest of it, we're basically splitting the property down the middle, which, let me come out to my guesstimate here. I've come out here with the tape and kind of just gotten landmark visual references. Not that persimmon, but that persimmon that we're letting grow. That's about the midway line. Now that goes right through what we call the wilderness there. And that wilderness area is, so that oak there had a twin when we bought the property. It got knocked down by a tornado while we were closing on the property. And along with some other trees on the property line, when my neighbor was redoing his fence and kind of cleaning up from that, we took a lot of the fallen logs and stuff and put it there. We had a burn, but it didn't all quite burn. And so it's just kind of grown back. And so it's kind of our wilderness area. It's where we throw different dead animals when they happen. That we so we had a couple sheep we lost. It's where we throw them to let nature do its thing, typically. But the middle line, I digress. Getting back here, goes right through that area. We'll go around it. Joel suggested doing a single line straight down the middle and having access to both sides. I think I'm going to do a lane instead, just a little modification, but still the same general principle. We're going to run a water line straight down there, have access at each paddock. Like I said, 8 paddocks right now. We're on our second rotation through. So we started here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sheep are down in 4 back there. 5 is where the cows are right now. 6, 7, and then 8 is here. What I'm still kind of hemming and hawing about is what I'm doing with this area in front of the solar panels, and then there, and then also in front of or behind, depending on how you want to think of it, the barn. One idea is I still want to try growing hops. I still want to try to see if I can successfully grow hops and have that be a cash crop for us here with all the local breweries. See if I can be a local provider for that. Something I want to experiment with. And I'm thinking this area in here would be a great place to put up my trellises for that. It gets sun almost all day, all year. Of course, right now it's in shade, but we're late in the day. And it would be really good for that. And then over here, if the wheat does well, this is where we can do our wheat and corn. This is where we can try doing our grains out here, is what I'm thinking. Now, the alternative would be to make this another paddock and set it up so it's like an off paddock, which it still can be depending on where we're at in the growing season. We can still let them into that area if we need to on a rotational basis. Take you over and let you see the piggies real quick. All right, so here was the first paddock. Had them set up in, utilized the tape, but you know, it's a pulse, and they were able to go right through that electric tape, right in between the pulses, and get through the cattle panels, which when they're young, even this small, you know, they can just go right through here. They're big, they're small enough to go through, but they're big enough to go up to this high. So if it was a hog panel, maybe not, but we have cattle panels. So I brought the mesh over and lined it. That little area there was kind of hastily put up once we caught them again, had them in there while I was getting the rest of the area set up. So I've got to come in here and take all this down. I'll recover all the T-posts I use for it, take down all the tape and everything. The mesh is going to stay here though, because this is intended to always be the first paddock. So this is always where piglets are going to be brought. You can see they did a pretty good job in here. This was really overgrown. Don't really have a before picture, but a lot of it was pretty much like that. And these guys, they got their snouts in there and they dug up pretty good. Now they've been over in their second paddock here now for a couple weeks. You can see them over there. They're being shy for some reason. There's our new pigs. We switched. So we now have it's a Hampshire Dork cross that I got from a local guy here. They're great. They're exactly kind of what we want in a different breed. And you can see they've already taken down this area pretty good. Again, what did I do there? Again, not a whole lot of reference from what it was beforehand, other than I can take you over to this other area and show you kind of a before. But now my daughter's pointing out, and I'm rightly concerned about how much they're rooting around that base, but they're not going to cause the panels to fall over. And what I can do is, once we move them to the next one, I'm gonna come in and do some reinforcement on that, so the next time we have pigs in here, that won't be as much of an issue. But got their mud there going on. They're enjoying life, getting big, getting tasty. Come on over here and show you kind of an idea of what that paddock looked like before the pigs got into it. Much more like that. Much more overgrown, forested, all different varieties, and they take it down pretty quick. And it looks like we got something, some sort of corn variety. So I don't see any ears on there. Leftovers probably from the previous pigs, some dent corn or something. But that's the basic rundown of what we got going on. We still got the Bressies. We're still trying to work with them and with the Chickasaw there. Trying to get them successfully in a breeding rotation. We've hatched a couple out, had a couple die for whatever reason. That's still kind of being a struggle for us, and we'll keep on it for a little while, but we may abandon it. But that's, I think, oh, well, we got our bees over here too. Don't know what the last update you guys saw with the bees, but we were able to catch a swarm from the first hive, and so we've got them set up there. I need to do an inspection bad. We harvested some honey back in early May, still utilizing it, but I'm sure they've got plenty to take, and I gotta take from them soon. Probably going to be the last harvest I do from them, assuming they can support it. Like I said, I've got to do an inspection, and I've got to get another box on that second one so they can have brood and space to grow into. But that's a quick tour rundown of what we got going on, we've had going on. You know, life still keeps going. Life still keeps chugging. And, you know, the videos don't always come because, quite frankly, don't always have time to set it up. And I'm sure you all can sympathize. You know, we're not running the YouTube channel to make money. We're not even really doing it for fans or anything like that. We're doing it hopefully as a resource. And just, you know, I like to watch other homesteaders to get an idea of how they're doing it, but also to take some encouragement that maybe some of the ways that I'm doing it aren't so crazy after all. And we can be here as a encouraging resource for each other. So that's really why we do it. So you can follow this wacky journey, maybe get some ideas or some advice if we have any good to give you, and maybe learn from our mistakes. That's what we do. So until then, until the next video, which will be continuation of the barn, because I'll get on that tomorrow. We'll say God be with you all in all that you do. And remember, keep the faith and keep up the fight. God bless.